Hey, my name is Sean King. I'm excited to be here today. I'm going to talk a little bit about the zeitgeist that has happened since November of this past year with ChatGPT and what generative AI is meaning for us as folks in the media, entertainment, and advertising space. And I'm really going to talk about how this can be useful and is a tool that everyone should be thinking about and strategizing about as an organization. But before I get started, and as I kicked it off, this past November, we saw an entire world that got captivated by this notion of ChatGPT, where if it's, individuals playing with it, students and teachers at odds with it, creatives, whether unsure if they want to embrace it or boycott it, at the end of the day, what we really saw was just mass experimentation that's there. But for folks that have been in the AI space for a while, what really ChatGPT is and generative AI is usage of a lot of different cognitive models and chain cognition, leveraging large language models, which has actually been a thing for quite some time. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what it is, the history of it, and then what it means for us for today. And that'll be my talk track for making generative AI work for you and your organization. Here at Veritone, again, we believe that generative AI will advance the human ability and enhance customer experiences or human experiences. Generative AI is definitely something that people can and will be using on a daily basis and has the potential to really change customer experiences. But real quick, what is generative AI? And generative AI, categorically, is an artificial intelligence model that's developed based off multiple outputs in which they are trained to do. So it uses a type of deep learning called generative adversarial networks. We may refer to them as GAN models that are there. And they have a wide range of applications that we see day in and day out. But specifically what happened in last November with ChatGPT is that was really just a chat interface, like a conversational interface that lets you interact with one of these large language models. It made it a consumer-driven model that folks can be able to use in their day in and day out lives. But it wouldn't really be anything if I didn't start and give a history lesson on what this is. And as I said before, this has been around a long time, and many may not know this. This dates back to almost 100 years. 1932 was actually the first documented use case of something like this. It was the invention of the first mechanical brain. And that translated languages using punch cards back in the day. And so that was really the first actual use case of something that was done in this way. Then we fast forward about another 30 plus years, an MIT professor created ELIZA, not Alexa, ELIZA. And what ELIZA was, is it simulated conversations with a psychotherapist in a machine. Then you fast forward about another, call it, 14, 15 years, you're in the gaming space. There was a game, Rogue, that used procedural content generation to dynamically create new game levels. Again, fast forward again to 2014. A research scientist named Ian Goodfellow developed the first generative adversarial network that I referenced before. And what those do is they pit two neural networks against each other to generating increasingly realistic content. Now into the more recent years, last 5 or 6 years, the transformer concept was introduced. And that was introduced by a research team at Google that was able to parse unlabeled text and using as training data within an LLM. And then fast forward to the zeitgeist of November of this past year. ChatGPT released the OpenAI, which is, again, chat-based interface to one of these language models. So it made one of these things consumer-facing and addressable. Someone could be able to come in for that mass experimentation. And then fast forward a whole whopping 5 months from then to where we are at today. And really, we have all the major players that are thinking about how are they going to incorporate these type of technology and these types of language models into their existing tech solutions, inside to their workflows, inside to their consumer experiences that they're looking to generate. But make no mistake, we've been reading about it. There's not a day if someone's on LinkedIn that they don't see something talking about one of these networks. The hype is real, but also so is the opportunity. IDC declared this past couple months ago that we are now entering the era of intelligent automation. And Gen AI is here to stay. And what is that? What is intelligent automation. Well, we're going to talk a little bit about and give some of those examples that we can see today in real life and how that's being used, and how some strategies that you can think about as an organization on what you should be doing to think about how you're going to deploy this within that. But also, make no mistake, I mean, we're projecting this to be a $116 billion industry by 2032, which is a massive amount of opportunity for everyone to take advantage of. But again, we're in the content space, everyone here. We're all here fueling some sort of a content journey from there. And we really look to classify generative AI into your content journey in really 4 simple ways to kind of self-identify your organization within where you're needing the most amount of either effectiveness, efficiencies, or net new gains in. First being creation. Are you looking to create new forms of content? Are you using to reproduce things that you've already done? Take advantage of the content that you've already made. How can you turn stuff that's been on clipping room floors into net new content? Secondarily, do I need help managing? Is it the ingestion of content? Is it the activation of all this increasing volumes of content that we're processing? Lastly, thirdly, monetization, generating more revenue out of the content that we have. How can we get more average revenue per asset that we have and make that content work harder for you? And then lastly, innovations. How do we explore new mediums for audience engagement, for faster processes and content creation and delivery? Generative AI has the potential to not just change our content workflows, but the entire audience experience. I mean, think about when we saw the iPhone release back in 2007. It changed how we interacted with our phones and devices today. And this has that same potential that's here. But notice how I said, this has the ability to change. It doesn't have the ability to replace. And we're going to talk about those ones here because I do want to make sure that we identify this very early on. Generative AI is not here as a replacement vehicle. It's here for a way to change and augment how we work with our content and how we work with our audience engagements. Tailoring it for your business. Think about it from 3 things. If I want to think about how I can incorporate AI into my business, you need to think about it from 3 distinct ways. First one being define your strategy. It's a pretty simple thing that businesses think about today. What role are you looking for AI to play within it? As no one is coming in there saying, well, look, how do I get 2 scoops of AI into my business? That's not how it works. But you think about where are my pain points in my business? Where am I struggling in my business? Where can I look for those gains across it? That's using that to define the strategy. Second of which is, understand as an organization how you're going to govern this. What are the outlines from that? How am I going to frame up an organization? What is going to be my position on it, my usage of it? What are going to be the boundaries in which I'm willing to do and not willing to do within this? And what levels of transparency? I mean, these are all really good. They're tough conversations to have, but they're good conversations to have, and conversations that need to be had before you dive in, not after the fact. And then lastly, focus on integration, not replacement. Going back to what I was saying just a few minutes ago, there is no need to rip the cord on tools, people, or existing processes. This is all about how you can augment to create greater effectiveness and efficiencies out of it, not intended to replace in any which way, shape, or form. So here we are, the opportunities. What do we want to think about those as media and broadcast leaders in the space here? Number 1, augment creative and workflow options. What does that mean? Is that editorial research? Is it creation? Is it sourcing using guardrails? How am I thinking about my own content management, the searchability of my content, the repurposing of my content, the licensing of my content? You can go on and on and on with all the different opportunities to take advantage of what you've already done and what you're looking to augment. This is where you can think about it. Again, this is not about replacement. This is about augmentation. Number 2, scale. Major part of our business here today. I mean, again, everyone in this audience is probably businesses are funded by subscriptions or advertising sales, for the most part. So we want to think about those things. How do I scale the content? How do I scale my revenue opportunities? How do I break into new markets? How can I take the content that I've had? How can I make that be more accessible to everyone and in different languages, in unique voices? Being able to reach people closer to where they're at, that different level of personalization that you can take onto a piece of content. All things that everyone should be thinking about is going to get in and breaking into new markets. But again, with all of these brand new break-ins comes new revenue opportunities. Expand audience and brand loyalty. I mean, this is a big one. I've have a long history in the ad tech and advertising space. This is something that is definitely a passion for mine in there. But it's not just about expanding your audience, but how are you getting closer to your audience? How are you meeting them where they're at? How are you delivering that very customized, bespoke messaging, customized content that is as personal as you can make it? Impossible to do that at scale with a human on the loop trying to do all of these things. But leveraging these models, you have infinite amounts of abilities to be able to personalize the content and, again, create a more engaging and loyal experience for your viewers. And we're going to talk about a couple of these and showcase a few of these options here shortly and where you're seeing these like AI for good and these opportunities in the wild here today. But I thought it'd be important to talk about the content workflow at scale for everyone in the audience. That's what they're. So it really goes through 5 steps of what you're talking about when you're going to leverage AI and specifically generative AI into your business. First, starting with the inputs. How are you ingesting your media? Where is your media residing today? Does it have associated metadata? Does it need metadata that's attached to it? How is that being batched? Is it being done in batch files? Is it being done in near real time? These are kind of those foundational processes that you're creating in order to be able to start activating upon that content. Second of which, moving into the transformation stage. This is something that you're doing to make that content more engaging, how you're going to take that content and transform it into the output that you're looking for. And that can use a whole different host of cognitive services, including large language models, like GPT 3.5, or custom ones that are domain specific to something you want to train on within your organization. Next, into the actual synthesis process. How do I want to generate the content? How am I going to leverage particular assembly engines? The production of new assets. What are you going to create? This is where that process begins to take place. Lastly, post-production. So again, I want to talk about the first 3 steps, entirely machine-driven. I want to stop for a second on 4, which is the post-production. This is where you want and need a person on the loop. And when I say by person on the loop, you want a person there to be able to review for subjectivity. Because again, machines have not and probably will not solve for subjectivity anytime soon. Is this appropriate? Is this on my brand? Is this something that actually would speak to my audience? Is this fair about what I'm trying to talk about in this space? But what you can do using these ones is you could create 20 different variations. And you can do 20 different variations using machines, but you're still going to want that editor, you're still going to want that final production person to be able to review all of those 20. It's like, well, what's the best for me? And where do we want to refine? And how do we want to do that? And maybe we want different sound effects, or we want to change animation rigs, or we want to replace a voice, or we want to make something a little bit more engaging for my content. That's where it is. So again, it's not about, taking people out of the workflow, but it's just about augmenting that's there. And then lastly, once all that's been created, storage and index. Where do we want to distribute this to? Where do we want to store this? And we go, this is the content production cycle. I said early on in the process is like defining, what AI is for your organization, defining your stance, what's here. I thought it'd be very important to kind of give and share Veritone's promise for good and how our core AI principles are for how we treat this for not just ourselves, but how we handle all of our customers' data when they're involved in some of these complex machine-driven workflows. Number 1 is, security. That we uphold the highest standards of security against all of our clients because it's their content. It's not our content. It's their content. It's their IP. Secondarily, trust. We seek at all costs to earn the trust of our clients. By protecting vigilantly their IP and any subsequent variations of their IP. This is theirs. We're entrusted with it. We are the stewards of it, and we take that with a heavy amount of responsibility. Then finally, transparency and compliance. While workflow solutions and synthetic media are powerful, we want to make sure we provide every attempt to be able to make sure that is transparent and meets compliance to ensure that our clients section and protected. What does that mean? Maybe it means a disclaimer on the screen. Maybe it means that it's where it's a call out at the stop of it. Maybe it's someone that's stopping in a voiceover that's saying, hey, this is created from those. Maybe it's at the end. These are those conversations that we need to have about how you want to be truthful and upfront with your audience engagements. And then lastly, empowerment. We think through our diverse portfolio of solutions that we're able to empower our customers to work smarter, more productive, and yield higher revenue potential for their groups. So with that, I'm going to give a couple two examples of how this is being used today with some of our partners, and then I'm going to bring up one of our partners, Ronan from Stats Perform, who's going to come by and have a little. We're going to have a little fireside chat about how this is being used today to both create what we've been talking about here for not just viewers but our joint customers together. I don't know if how many people here are familiar with Cameo. Anybody? A couple people in the audience. There we go. Glad all the Veritone people said yes. Okay, thank you guys. That's good. But Cameo came to us with a problem. They wanted a path to be able to help break into family entertainment. If you're not familiar with Cameo, they are a shout-out platform where you can request a personalized message from a celebrity. And again, when you're thinking about family content, many of those are cartoons. Many of those are things that our children are watching day in and day out. Those are what they're engaging with. Those are their quote unquote celebrities. So they're looking to create a solution where how can we make this more engaging and scalable? So if I wanted to reach out to my daughter's favorite Coco Melon character, or their favorite, Combo Panda or Thomas the Train, and be able to create a special personalized message for them, that becomes very challenging when you're dealing with animators, when you're dealing with voiceover talents, when you're dealing with the workflows that are associated with it. So we worked in collaboration to build a very bespoke custom workflow where we're leveraging a engine that is creating dynamic animation as well as a synthetic voice solution protecting the IP of the characters that they've had to be able to create very dynamic and customizable message so that parents can meet their children and share in their special milestones with them. Maybe it's a birthday message, a back to school, a bedtime message, congratulations on, potty training. So I'll play a quick example of what those look like.
Hey Combo Crew, it's me, Combo Panda from Ryan's World. I'm taking a break from my favorite video game to send messages to your friends and family on Cameo. If it's a birthday, wishing congratulations for a job well done, or something awesome, I want to help. Is it someone's birthday, or did you get a new top score? Request a personalized combo bunga from me today.
Hey friends, it's Cece from Cocomelon. I'm so excited to be on Cameo to share holiday cheer, birthday wishes, or a little pick-me-up. I'm here for you. Request a personalized message from me today.
Cute, right? I think so. Again, it's just another way that you're able to, again, create something that's hyper-personalized, very bespoke, and with all the necessary guardrails of there. I highly encourage anyone to go in and try to purchase one for one of their kids or family members. It's very guardrailed. You can't insert a curse word. You can't say anything that's inappropriate. There's all the guardrails that are protecting about what's going in and what's coming out. All of those, again, just being dynamically created. So I'll play a quick little video on what that looks like and share some of the kids' reactions to those videos. And then we'll talk briefly about Stats Perform and go into our chat.
Hey friends, it's JJ from Cocomelon. I'm so excited to be on Cameo.
Happy birthday, Sebastian! I hope you have a great time and get some extra special deliveries.
Merry Christmas, Connor. It's me, your friend Cece.
Hey, it's me, Blippi.
I just love this use case. Again, I'm a parent, know many of you are, but if I had something like that where, my favorite cartoons of the early 80s, that would have made my day. To date myself, I like a Mask cartoon character, if those remember actually the cartoon Mask, would have made, there you go, that's right, would have made my day as a kid. And then lastly, here's AI-powered voice in sports. This is something that we see a lot about, and we're going to talk about here shortly in detail. But in our partnership with Stats Perform, they've created an OptiVoice solution that's powered by Veritone that really allows sports of all different flavors be made available and accessible to all points. There's an inherent problem when we're consuming sports is that so much of it is we're broadcast reliant. It's who has the rights for where I live. I'm unfortunately a diehard San Antonio Spurs fan, but I live in San Diego. I never get to see or listen to a Spurs game, ever. But this gives that opportunity that I can make this accessible to me, and I can be able to choose my broadcast. I can listen to it when I want to, how I want to, and candidly in the voice that I want to. And it's been a wonderful solution to also make sports more accessible. And it's not just accessible to the major leagues, but it's also, we're talking about, women's sports, collegiate sports. If I want to follow lacrosse at Lehigh, I have that ability to be able to choose and engage in that content. So we love this because we feel that sports is one of those ubiquitous broadcasting and entertainment groups that really allow sports and everyone to have a seat at the same table to be able to engage in what they're looking for. So I'll play the video here, and as my friend and good partner Ronan comes up to the stage, we'll continue our little chat. So with that, let me go ahead and play the video.
Sports fans have always craved coverage of their favorite teams, players, and leagues through traditional channels. But today's sports fan is on the go. They want content everywhere and at any time. How do content providers meet that demand? How do they create coverage at scale? Introducing OptiVoice powered by Veritone, the world's first AI voice for sport. Stats Perform, the leader in sports data, is joining forces with Veritone, the leader in AI voice solutions, to engage fans in new ways and give content creators sports audio coverage with global reach at scale. Combine these two forces and you get the only advanced AI voice solution available for sports. Provide sports content for a podcast platform.
Los Angeles beat Nashville SC 2-1 at Geodis Park on Monday as a decisive Jose Cifuentes goal proved the difference. Thorleifur Ulfarsson capped off a Houston Dynamo comeback to seal a 2-1 triumph at PayPal Park over San Jose Earthquakes on Monday.
Power a live action experience for viewing and listening to a match.
He delivers a pass into the center of the attacking 6-yard box. Batu Binsika fails to clear the ball. Messi shoots. Goal. It's a goal. PSG equalise against Maccabi Haifa with a low left-footed shot from Messi, beating the goalkeeper from close range. After 36 minutes, the match is all square at 1-1.
Lionel Messi has scored his first goal in the UEFA Champions League this season. PSG have scored in their last 10 UEFA Champions League games.
Generate engaging video for TikTok and other social platforms.
Informed Chicago Fire are eyeing a fourth consecutive MLS win as they host Atlanta United at Soldier Field on Saturday.
OptiVoice, powered by Veritone. The next generation of sports experiences.
Great. Thank you, everybody, and welcome to this portion of our session where we're going to have a kind of an intimate fireside chat with our two guests here. For those of you who have just joined us, I'm going to introduce us to Sean King, who's our Senior VP and General Manager of our commercial group, but also one of our special guests here, a great partner of ours, Ronan Nandi from Stats Perform. Ronan, would you introduce yourself?
Hey everyone, Ronan Nandi. I lead business development with Stats Perform. We are a leading provider of real-time stats, analytics, and digital content solutions for media companies, betting operators, and leagues.
Great, thanks. Sean, I want to thank you for providing some great insights on how making generative AI can work for you. Let's talk a little bit about generative AI and how it's working for each of your companies. Ronan, and maybe if you can talk a little bit about how Stats Perform is leveraging generative AI in your organization.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've been in the generative AI space for some time. A host of new applications that we've released in the last couple of years. In the team performance space, we announced OptiVision last year, which is you can think of it as AI-powered insights for a team, right? So are there any Premier League fans in the audience? Okay, great. So let's say Manchester United, they've got a match coming up on the weekend, and the coaching team is looking to develop strategy, right? So OptiVision may suggest, hey, we want to, Bruno Fernandes, let's have him play deeper in the midfield to unlock opportunities for his teammates, right? So for coaching staffs, it's an AI-powered assistant, sports analytics aid right at their fingertips. So OptiVision is one. Another generative AI application that we have come to market with, so Sean had mentioned transformer-powered player performance prediction models. And so what that is based upon leveraging our OptiSports database, which is an industry standard for a couple decades now, fast, accurate, up-to-date soccer data. We're able to actually figure out the propensity of a player to score a game in the next match, right? So Mo Salah from Liverpool, is he going to score in the next game? That's one. Another generative AI application we have, ghosting, not that ghosting, but ghosting in the sense of alternative player scenarios, right? So if Kevin De Bruyne from Manchester City, if he had been in a different position on the field during a key play, how would that possession have unfolded, right? So that's one. Generative AI has helped us with data collection processes, much the way coders are using it to correct errors in their data. And then, of course, our partnership with Veritone, where last year we announced generative AI commentary. So match previews, recaps, play-by-play for all of your favorite soccer leagues.
Thanks, Ronan. So, Sean, in addition to what are obviously the relationship with Stats Perform, how do you envision generative AI being leveraged by Veritone? I know you talked about best practices, but how do you see some of it affecting the products that we do here for media and entertainment?
Well, I expect to have them in a variation of them in all of our products and solutions that's there. And again, it's not meant, again, as a replacement to anything, but to augment. If I'm going into our digital media solution and I'm looking for content that's there, well, maybe I want to write a narrative about what I'm looking for. Maybe I want to write a narrative about the history of Nike at the US Open. And so I want to leverage, a large language model to help write me a short narrative, but then using the output of that narrative to help me identify what assets that should I look for, how should I incorporate that, and how should I build that into the workflow that's there. I think it's supercharging the process in which we're going through from that content creation. Like with Ronan's example on OptiVoice with stats, how that live play-by-play is being creative is it's not being leveraged through those. It's that we've created a very bespoke custom model that's taking raw data feeds, and that raw data is being converted into humanistic text using a natural language generative model that is then powered by a voice to be able to create these things. So again, it is just another way that we can almost superhuman staffs within our organization, within our customers and clients' organizations, to be able to do more and get a higher output of what they're working for and kind of supercharge their processes.
Right. So let's talk about, the output of generative AI, whether it be ChatGPT or text to image and what have you. Amazing. There's got to be hurdles and challenges. What kind of hurdles and challenges you faced, Ronan, when you guys through Stats Perform?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think what is unique about sports, and as Sean had mentioned, so ChatGPT, big fan. The primary input for it is text. So it's all the vast text on the internet, and so it's news articles, Wikipedia pages, etc. Right? Sports, it is unique in its data structure, and so not only is it the stats and the metrics that you from a game, but there's a visual component to sports, right? So there's the X's and O's of a player on the field, and so all those different dimensions are what we call the language of sport. StatSport, we are the language of sport. And so based upon those data inputs, we have created a proprietary soccer language model to drive a lot of the insights that you see drive OptiVoice, as well as essentially help fans understand the true essence of a game.
Great. And Sean, in your perspective, challenges and hurdles you've seen?
Well, I don't want to open up a big can of worms, but I'll say, IP and ownership. of this, of not just in the models, but the subsequent new generative things that are there. I love generative things for sports and news specifically because you can train a domain-specific language model on your existing content that you've created. So it's your content, it's your IP, it's there. So it makes ownership very clean and it makes it very clear. It becomes very unclear when you start thinking about how am I leveraging existing public-facing language models and those outputs that are coming out from there. It creates let's say, a wonderful opportunity for all the lawyers that are in here to be able to come in and think about how they want to help us solve for it. But if you're thinking about it for your organization, how can I get the most out of that? Just like what Ronan was talking about for stats and very specific around sports. If it's your content, you're the clear owner of it. There's that ability to create something that's very custom and bespoke to what you've already done. And so any of those derivative forms that can come from that, it makes a very clear, established ownership of that.
Great, thanks. Now, Ronan, you mentioned ChatGPT. How do you see ChatGPT in sports? How does that play out?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a Lakers fan, and I flew into Vegas last night, and the first thing I did was check the score of the game, right? So I didn't go to ChatGPT because all of the data inputs is only current as of September 2021. So there, as a go-to source for tool for sports, it's not there. However, when you combine our kind of accurate, up-to-date sports data with the AI models that are powering ChatGPT, it just all kinds of possibilities with fan engagement, AI-assisted commentary, and so forth.
Great. Sean, in your world, how do you see Gen AI moving forward? What are some of the opportunities?
I could keep talking about that one for hours, but I'll name it down. It's our ability to scale the content that we're looking to create. I mean, if we think about just promotional materials, I've spent all this time and effort to create my 30-minute episode. Okay, now that I've created that, I need my 60-second teaser. I need my 15-second teaser. I need my recaps for these things. These are all things that, you could leverage generative AI to help you create those things and create it into different languages and be able to make it available and accessible to more folks. That's an amazing tool. And again, if you're taking the time from those editors that are having to do all those different cut down and allow them to focus on the net new stuff that they want to create and develop, your ability to be able to create net new is more.
Right. Ronan, do you see any additional Gen AI applications or use cases in your world? Opportunities?
Yeah, moving forward, I think there's a world of possibilities in sports, right? So in continued digitization of fan experiences that rights holders and broadcasters can provide. So some of the areas that I'm excited about, we know that these European football clubs, they've got these massive global fan bases all around the world, but yet 99% of a team's fan base will never get an opportunity to go to a stadium to watch their favorite team play, right? So virtual stadiums with 3D renderings of players leveraging player data to make them, all the while listening to AI-assisted commentary on the game, right, is one area. I think and you see these football clubs are creating these paid membership programs where you can get a merchandise discount on your fan merchandise, right? So generative AI-powered digital experiences for those fans, the digital virtual state, another potential application could be interactive sports personalities, right? So driven by sports data, hearing a chatbot, AI-assisted commentary chatbot of your favorite player on that team, providing you with analysis, personalized content, et cetera, all the while rooted in kind of factual, accurate, up-to-date data. I think a whole world of possibilities.
Great. We got a couple minutes left till the session ends, but I want to kind of end this last question to you guys is, let's talk about the adoption rate for generative AI. How do you see the adoption rate in a couple years from now with Gen AI?
I think I'm very excited about where the industry is going. And I think that there's so many different so much talent and that is going into this category that I think a lot of the innovations that Sean and I have talked about, they'll be here before we know it.
Great. And Sean, how about your perspective?
I think it's just going to be part of what we're doing day in and day out. You're not going to know. I mean, as I was saying earlier, like, this has been around for quite some time. It's just now become very public facing, and it's actually got that almost direct to consumer component now that you're looking for. I mean, it'll be part of everything we do. Not to sound like, an old ad thing. It'll be part of the fabric of our lives. It'll be something that will be embedded in a lot of what we're doing. I mean, we're seeing today that Bloomberg gave over years and years worth of financial data to be carried a very finance-centric LLM that's going to be there. So hundreds of years of data that's there. Wow. I mean, what is that going to mean to what's going on, and how is this going to be able to expand? I mean, and again, if you're not thinking about it within your organization, you should be, because it's something that is coming and it's not going away. So the sooner everyone can get in front of it and find your right partner that can help you navigate through that can be your wilderness guide through that, because it can be a little scary. Just because you're seeing everyone that are at odds about it right now. Like, should we do this? Should we not do this? Should we sign a petition to halt it? Should we not? If we sign a petition, who's going to take over and advance it further? There's a lot of these conversations, and everyone should be talking about this, because it's not something that anyone wants to be left behind.
Something to say?
Well, that's great.
Yeah, well, I mean, it sounds like generative AI is here to stay, for sure. So, ladies and gentlemen, our time is up, but we want to thank you for coming. Sean, thank you for your insights, and Ronan, thank you for your insights as well. So on behalf of Veritone, I'd like to thank everybody for coming here, and I believe we'll have a recorded this recording available for you guys. Thank you very much, everybody.